Okay, so it's raining outside, so this isn't even a really like fast acceleration. Just get straightened down here, but just to kind of give you an example, that's all 4 tires spinning. That's it. We're gonna get right into it. We're gonna do the good, the bad, and the ugly on this Hummer EV. Okay, what I purchased again, all those good things. Let's get right into it. Things that I absolutely love about this is my wife hates getting gas. She plugs it in every evening. It's topped off. She drives every day to work and back, probably 40, 50 miles, and comes home. This thing's maybe 75, 80%. She plugs it back in. It's fully charged again the next day. So that is a benefit. No oil changes, no maintenance. The only thing you have to remember to do is rotate the tires. I've got 12,330 miles of zero problems with this car. It works very well. You know, going to the Tesla stations, some are open to the Hummer, some are not, so you can't always depend on that. You kind of have to look at your app. You know, the big stations are open, but you know, a lot of the Tesla stations, I'm only getting like 250 to 200 kW charge, where like some of them I go to the bigger stations and I get, you know, 400 kW charge, which is about 500, let's say 580 miles an hour, you know, if you look at how it's charging. And so you take that in half of that's almost 300 miles, that's your range, you know. So you can go to these stations and charge up to, let's say 85, 90% within 15 to 20 minutes. It's very fast, but to charge up from that, you know, 85 to 100, it starts to slow down significantly. The batteries can't take that much charge on the top end, right? So it's nice to have something that's topped off all the time, and it's nice to have something that's zero maintenance. And I have solar at home, but y'all, the expense of electricity, I think I pay 9 cents a kilowatt. So I mean, well, you're looking at $12 to top this thing off on range, and you know, it's very, very reasonable for a SUV this size. We definitely save a lot of money on gas versus electric. Okay, now everyday driving, this car is great. Traveling, not so much. We don't really want to take this car unless we're going to Houston or going to San Antonio, somebody with big charging stations, because the reality is, and I know I have 37s on here, and that does affect it some, but it's not as much as you think. Okay, when they tell you this car, and it says, like right now, it says it's got 257 mile range. Yeah, if I'm driving 55, 60 miles an hour. If I'm going down the highway and I'm running 75, 80 like I'm doing right now, I probably got 150, 160 mile range, and it doesn't tell you that. So that itself can give somebody serious range anxiety, right? Let's say Houston from our house is about hour and 30, hour and 45 minutes, right? There's the store in between here, and if I leave my house at 100%, let's say we fully charge it because we know we're going on a trip, and you know, let's say it takes us an hour to get to Buc-ee's that has a Tesla station, and I get to that Tesla station, we plug in, it only takes maybe 20, 30 minutes to charge it. So by the time we get sandwiches, come back out, we're fully charged again, and then we're on the road. But to go to Houston, we have to charge there, get topped off, go to Houston, we can go running around, and then come back, we need to charge again before we come home. It does not have enough to make the highway speeds. And this is a 10,000 pound, it's shaped like a brick. I mean, this thing is not aerodynamic. So a car EV may be, you know, a way better situation than this, but I'm just telling y'all on the Hummer, if you're doing highway drives and highway trips, don't expect the range that it tells you, okay? It's to fill it up at those charging stations. Like I said, I paid 9 cents at home. You know, they usually charge anywhere from 45 to 55 cents a kilowatt hour. So a lot of times you're looking at dumping, you know, let's say to go from 40% to 80% or 30% to 80% on your battery, you're looking at about 40 to 50 bucks. So it's pretty equal to like filling up your SUV, but the range is a little bit lower. And you know, I'm gonna say this, if you can plug this thing in at home base, you're saving money. You know, and most of the people that have a level 2 charger at home, that's where the money savings is. You know, if you're charging at these charging stations, I can't say that you're saving anything. I absolutely love the vehicle itself, and probably some of the the best features in it are the hands-free driving feature that GM has is great. The other thing that's great is the rear wheel steering. Now I can be in an inside turning lane and make the other side turning lane, because what happens is on about that first round of steering, it's your front wheels. And on the second, third round of steering, it's your rear wheels too. So this thing will just pivot. And it's unreal. Like if you're making a U-turn, people look at you, they're like, wow, I mean, it's just crazy. So for a big vehicle, it does park well, it drives well. You know, if GM were to put a Duramax in this thing, 100%, I'd be trading it in tomorrow. Absolutely. The features and everything in this vehicle are awesome. Now, another pro about it is the horsepower. This thing is crazy. I mean, I think 0 to 60 in like 3-point-something seconds for a 10,000 pound brick. It's pretty impressive. So it is no slouch. It does have the full air suspension. You know, it's got the digital rearview mirror. It's big in the inside. It's wide. So this is a wider vehicle than your normal SUV. So like you can put 3 full-size adults in the back seat and nobody's really cramped because of the width of the vehicle. But that is also a con too, because you know, I drive an RHO, which is a wide truck, but this Hummer is even wider than the RHO. So from line to line, it is a short, wide vehicle. So it doesn't give you as much room in the lanes to move around. But the everyday driving in this car, having it topped off, we don't have a fuel bill on this car, and the lease deal is really good with GM. You know, so I don't have any regrets on a bunch of that stuff. But, you know, like I said, a lot of people ask the questions on range, and they ask the questions on charging. And, y'all, just so you know at home, like a level 2 charger, you can get like a 90 amp charger, but you better have a pretty good size service, because if you've got heat strips and other stuff in your house and you've got a 200 amp service, I mean, you're talking about using half that service to charge that car, and then you go turn your heat on, turn the stove on, you know, overload your system, right? So I have a 320 amp service, but only a 200 on my house that runs our electric heat. And then also, so I put in the 60 amp breaker, which is still a level 2 charger. I think it pulls like 46 amps continuous. If you buy a 50 amp charger, it's only going to pull like 30 amps, because the 50 amp plug, the NEMA rating on it is continuous, is right at 30 to 32 amps. So you're going to have to hardwire a level 2 to get to that 60 amp. And that's what we have. And with that, I think I pulled right at 47 continuous amps, and that puts me at about 19 to 20 mile per hour charging. And I keep saying the mile per hour charging, and just so y'all kind of understand that, is, so if we come in and we have a 10-hour night, it's going to buy me 200 miles of range at 20 miles per hour on 10 hours. So pretty much every day she's driving 60, 70 miles. This thing's fully charged by, you know, she plugs it in at, let's say 6 o'clock when she gets home. It's usually fully charged by about 10:30 every night, ready to go the next day with a full tank. And a lot of you will talk about the battery. A lot of you say, oh, you don't charge to 100%. You know, if you live on a grade and you're at the very top of a grade, it needs regenerative braking. It needs a place to put that power. So we live out here where it's flat, okay? The other thing is it's just like anything else. You don't want to leave your vehicle at 100% for any period of time. So generally we charge it to about 90 to 95, but we drive it every day. And so we're taking that back out of it, okay? Like we're fixing to go on a trip, and it's going to sit in the garage for about a week. And so I'm going to make sure it's down to about 50% before I let it sit for a week with that much of a charge. And, you know, these are things that you kind of get used to. And then there's, you know, it's cold. You have to precondition the batteries for charging. And that can bite you too, because when it's cold, your batteries can eat up a little bit more than when it's hot. But let's say you're sitting there and you have a 70-mile range and you're going down the highway. You really only have about 40, 45 miles. But then if you're going to go to a charging station and you want to start preconditioning those batteries so that it can charge faster in the cold weather, when you hit that precondition, it starts using more of that power. You may only have 15 miles. So a lot of things that you kind of got to get used to, and you need to research before you get one of these, because you can make a mistake and give yourself some serious range anxiety. But once you have the knowledge and you have the vehicle, you completely understand. Like if we're going to go on a highway trip, I need to find a charging station within about 115 to 120 miles. and that's because we're going to run it 78 to 80 miles an hour down the highway. So you don't have to do any of the preconditioning in the summertime. We never do. It charges really well, and I've had zero problems with these batteries. So, you know, that's kind of in a nutshell. We love the vehicle for those reasons. That it's very nice. We don't have a fuel bill. We don't have the maintenance. I'm not sure that we'd purchase another EV again, but the experience of this one has been pleasant. I mean, it just hasn't been bad at all. We've had no update issues. We've had no problems. And you see in the forums, you know, everybody's having all these issues with these cars. And, you know, this one has been good to us, knock on something, but, you know, it's just a good looking vehicle. It rides good, it drives good. We're happy with it, you know. And I guess if you've got any comments or questions, drop them below, and, you know, I'll try to get those answered. But, and I'm going to release another vehicle that's lease versus buy, because you do not want to purchase an EV. Y'all, if you can lease it, and I'll just say this, everybody says, well, we drive too many miles. For what you look at the cost of a vehicle and how much they depreciate these days, they only charge you 20 to 25 cents a mile. That's $2,500 for 10,000 miles over on your lease. That's not bad numbers. If you want to consider owning that vehicle and putting 10,000 miles on it and looking at that depreciation, that's something I want to cover in the next video. But being able to not have a note on this, it's kind of like a rental. You know, there's no note, there's just a payment, and then in 3 years I can turn it in, and they've already told me what my purchase would be on this vehicle. And y'all, I'm glad I did what I did, because this vehicle depreciated significantly this year. So I'm really glad I'm in the lease, because I can just hand them the keys and walk away from it whenever I turn it in. So there's some benefits to that. But like I said, the features in this car, the all-wheel drive, the rear steering, you know, all the things that are in this car make it really nice. And I think really, if they put, and it doesn't need the baby Duramax in this thing, but you need the full-size Duramax. But, you know, you put the Duramax in here with that 10-speed transmission, I think this would be one of the hottest selling SUVs, just because of how easy it is to park with the rear steering and how big it is in the inside. I think GM would have a big player in the SUV game. But anyway, if the video helped you any, please hit that like and subscribe. I'm going to do another video. Like I said, we're going to do purchase versus lease, and we'll talk about all those numbers and get into that, and then you can make a decision on what you want to do on that. But just kind of show you how the lease works. But again, thanks for watching the video. Please hit that like and subscribe. We'll catch you on the next one.